Stress is not always about what is happening in life. It's often about how overwhelmed we feel trying to handle it. And it is a major cause of many diseases and can also act as a precipitator for many others. Hi guys, my name is Isha and today we are talking about stress. So first, let's understand what actually causes stress. So some of the major causes of stress includes when life is not going the way you imagined or planned and you start experiencing sudden burst of anxiety and stress. Secondly, when there is simply too much on your plate and you don't know how to manage it all. Thirdly, when you cannot see even a small ray of hope in the present and life feels lost and uncertain. And fourth, stress comes from those unnecessary stresses that we allow to stay in our lives. Okay, so first let's talk about the stress that comes when the things don't go the way we expected. It could be that you invested a lot of your time and energy into something, a relationship, a job promotion, or an important project, but the outcome didn't turn out the way you hoped. Maybe the person left you, maybe someone else got the promotion, or maybe the project you worked so hard on failed. In moments like these, stress immediately start affecting you. It clouds your thinking, making it hard to see clearly. Your immunity begins to weaken, and by immunity, I also mean your energetic protection, your ability to stay mentally and emotionally stable. Okay, so this stress then starts impacting your physical and mental health. Suddenly, your old cervical pain returns, your blood pressure or blood sugar rises, even though your diet hasn't changed, or you start developing all those unhealthy eating habits because your emotional balance is disturbed. Okay, so how do we deal with such stress in a way that does not harm us more than the situation already has? Okay, so the first thing to understand here is that outcome of many things in our life is not fully in our hands. So what was in your control was the effort that you put in, the discipline you showed, and the lessons you could learn from that experience. But the final result, whether it is closing a deal, getting a promotion, receiving something you hoped for, it is not always in your direct control. So stressing over questions like why is it taking so long? Why didn't it happen? Or why did it happen this way? It only drains our energy. Okay, so instead, remind yourself that the only thing that truly is in your control are your effort and the process. Okay, and if something still does not work out now, instead of filling the situation with those negative and negative thoughts or negative energy, now give that situation any positive closure, even if it seems fake, like something better is coming, or it was not meant for you, or I need to prepare more, anything that fits your situation. Even if you cannot see it right now, it is very important to calm our mind instead of replaying the same situation again and again, because when we keep revisiting an event in our mind now, it is as if it happened once in reality, but you make yourself experience it many times. Okay, our mind does not clearly distinguish between something that is happening outside and something that we are repeatedly imagining. Okay, so it simply responds to our emotions and the feelings that it generates. Okay, so if we keep repeating the same painful memory, our mind feels as if it is happening again and again to us. Okay, that's why after accepting what happened and reflecting your own role in it, you need to give that situation a closure. Okay, your mind must understand that it is over. And sometimes when I have done my part and the result does not show up, now I tell myself, maybe this is happening for my best, or maybe there is still something I need to learn, or simply maybe this was not meant for me. Okay, whatever closure resonates with you, repeat it to yourself until your mind slowly accepts it. Even though in the beginning it seems fake or artificial to you, give it a closure. Otherwise, you will remain stuck in that loop of anxiety, stress, and negative self talk. Okay, so accepting the situation as outcomes are not under our control, and then giving that situation a closure in our mind. Second is the stress that happens when there is simply too much on our plate. This is something I can relate to very well because I have gone through it many times. In the past, it often result in overworking, complete exhaustion, or eventually it impacted my health. Okay, so how do I deal with it now? The first thing I do is write everything down, all those pending tasks, things that I need to think through, and even the small or major decisions that need to be made. Okay, when you move your thoughts from your mind onto paper, now your brain immediately relaxes because those things are no longer occupying your mental space. Okay, so once everything is written down, I prioritize and choose one or two tasks for the day. Okay, and if those get done and I still feel energetic, now I might take on one more, but never to the point of exhaustion. It's very important to stop before you drain yourself, especially if you don't want to end up completely exhausted the next day. Okay, guys, one thing I have learned now, it is that life isn't going anywhere. Even if you somehow manage to finish everything on your list in a few days, another pile of tasks will always appear to fill that space. Okay, so no matter how urgent everything may seem, make a list and ask yourself what can be deleted, what can be delegated, and what truly needs your attention right now. Okay, of course, there would be tasks that will have some deadlines, but for the rest, make it a habit to pick only one or two tasks a day, because the truth is there is no end to those daily task lists, and constantly chasing them create a huge amount of mental stress that drains our energy more than we realize. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are learning to adapt to the stressor. Okay, you can regain a sense of control by adjusting your expectations and your attitude as well. Okay, sometimes this means simply reframing the situation to calm your mind or looking at the bigger picture of the situation. Okay, so ask yourself, how important will this be in the long run? Will it matter in a month, a year? And sometimes we just need to adjust our own standards also, as in setting reasonable expectations for ourselves and for others, and learning to be okay with things being good enough instead of being perfect. Okay, next is when you cannot see even a small ray of hope in the present, as in life feels lost and uncertain. Okay, this can happen when you're going through a chronic health issue, or a major financial setback, or a difficult family situation. Okay, stress often rises when you lose something important or face a major setback and we cannot see any clear way forward. Okay, in such moments, now the mind struggles because the present feels heavy and the future looks uncertain. Okay, so it becomes difficult to imagine how life will move forward from here. Okay, so what do you do when you cannot see anything good in life is, in such times now try to live only in the present moment. Do what you can do today and temporarily stop thinking too far ahead. For some time, just do not allow your mind to wander into the future. Okay, just take those small baby steps in the present. Okay, so sometimes all you can do is pause and stand still for a while, and sometimes it means just taking care of yourself in whatever small way possible. Okay, all you can do is sit with your pain and allow yourself to grieve, feeling what you are going through instead of rejecting it. Okay, just taking life one day at a time, or maybe even for months, and that is completely okay. Okay, one thing I have learned here now, that life has its own way of healing and unfolding, even when everything seems like a dead end. Okay, so during such phases now, it is okay to pause your dreams and future plans for a while and simply focus on the present moment. Question like, how will I overcome this? When will things get better? Or who will come into my life? You do not need to answer them right now. Okay, just focus on today's small steps, because stress slowly eats away at our thinking ability and blocks our energy from moving forward. Okay, what has already happened has happened, but do not make yourself suffer more than what the situation already caused. Okay, so for example, if you're dealing with a chronic health issue, sometimes the only goal is just taking care of yourself today, as in just one day at a time. Okay, now another form of stress that comes from those unnecessary stresses. There are certain people and situations in our lives that unnecessarily create stress, and these are the things we actually need to avoid. See, we already have enough responsibilities and challenges in our life. We do not need to invite additional stress that serve no real purpose. For example, there may be people who constantly trigger you just for their own entertainment, or situations that irritate you but are completely out of your control, like traffic, weather, or small everyday inconveniences. Okay, so one important skill here to learn is saying no. Know your limits and respect them. Whether is it your personal life or at work, taking on more than you can handle is a guaranteed way to increase your stress levels. Okay, and next, avoid people who consistently stress you out. Okay, if someone repeatedly brings negativity or tension into your life, now try to limit the time you spend with them or create healthy boundaries where needed. Okay, you can also take control of your environment. For example, if watching the evening news make you anxious, now simply turn it off. If traffic stresses you out, now take a slightly longer but less crowded route, or listen to the calming music or a podcast that remind yourself that everyone else is going through the same situation. Okay, and another common source of that unnecessary stress is engaging in hot button topics. You know, if certain situations always leads to argument or emotional disturbance, now it's okay to remove those topics from your conversations. Okay, and if the same arguments keep repeating with the same people, now simply avoid bringing them up or politely excuse yourself when the conversation moves into that direction. Okay, sometimes now the healthiest response is simply to change the topic or just walk away. Okay, most people create those unnecessary stress for themselves by repeatedly engaging in those discussions they know will disturb their peace of mind. Okay, so ultimately, stress management begins with identifying the sources of stress in our lives, whether our goal is to reduce overall stress or avoid those unnecessary triggers or handle those stressful moments better. Awareness is the first step. When you clearly understand now what is causing you that pressure, you can respond with clarity and attention instead of simply reacting to everything around you. Okay, with this, I close today's session. See you in my next video. Until then, take care.